In today's digital age, one of the most fruitful skills you can learn is how the technology around us functions and how it's assembled. Today, I will be teaching you how to design and build your own PC. Now, the three most crucial steps when building your own computer is selecting all the components that enable the computer to be utilized, constructing all those components so that they function collectively, and installing the appropriate components and digital elements to ensure that your newly built PC is operating efficiently. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start from scratch. Selecting the components for your computer is the first step to any PC build, and I also believe it's the most critical. I believe this because the proficiency and the performance of your PC is reflected on by the components that you put in them. When choosing the components for your PC, it's very important that you don't cheap out on them. I'll share with you a personal experience to emphasize the importance of not skimping out on your components. So on about my third or fourth PC build, I had compiled all the components for the PC except for the power supply, which is what provides the computer with electricity. So I figured that I had installed all the important components to the PC already, so I just buy a cheap power supply that does the bare minimum so that I could play with my PC. So I ordered my power supply on Amazon, and it got there, and I paid probably about half of what I would pay for an exceptionally good power supply. And wouldn't you know it, I installed it, plugged it in, and 5 seconds later it blew up, just like somebody put firecrackers in it. Luckily, the power supply was the only thing damaged, and the rest of the PC components were fine, but that just goes to show you that if you skip out on your PC's components, you can potentially ruin your PC build and any of your other components. Another important step when choosing your components is having a good idea of the PC's primary purpose. You may be questioning the importance of this step, but the PC components are designed differently so that they cater to different users' interests. For example, a programmer or a video editor would prefer fast processing speeds over image quality, which would probably be preferred by the likes of a graphic designer or a gamer, or audio quality, which a music producer would prefer. So you have all these different components that vary and cater to person. So now that you've bought the components you see fit for your PC, it's time to get building. The physical equipment of your PC is known as your PC's hardware. Think of your PC's hardware as a human body, with each component representing a different organ in the body. The brain of the PC, which controls every component in the computer, is known as the CPU, or the central processing unit. The CPU controls all the PC's calculations and the PC's overall performance. The CPU is also installed with a large fan known as a heatsink. The CPU and the heatsink are installed onto your PC's motherboard, which can be thought of as a PC skeleton. That's all the other components are connected to. The motherboard is the focal point of your PC, as many of your essential components will end up placed on top of it. So now that you've connected your CPU and motherboard, it's time to put them in the PC case. The case is like the body of the PC, which hosts each of the components inside. Now for the memory. Your PC has two different types of memory. The vast majority of that memory is stored on drives. All the photos, pictures, documents, and programs stored on your PC, these are all on drives. A hard disk drive are the most prominent drives that we see in common household computers, and they write down all the data onto the disk, which is kind of why it's called a hard disk drive. But more recently, solid-state drives, which utilize flash memory, have become the norm, as they've been proven to be faster and more efficient than hard disk drives. So your drives are stored next to the motherboard. And the other type of memory that your PC utilizes is RAM, or random access memory, which is installed on the motherboard. RAM is kind of a confusing concept. The website Hawk Consulting, in an article written February 7th, earlier this year, calls RAM temporary memory, which stores the information currently running programs. Random access memory does not save anything permanently, which is why documents are lost when they are not saved during editing. The last key component to your PC build is the PSU, or power supply, which is like the PC's heart. The PSU is connected to the most components of the PC and provides them all with power. This is a part of the PC which also plugs in the wall. So those are all the essential components you'll need to have a properly functioning PC. Additionally, you could increase your PC's graphical capabilities with a graphics card, improve the audio with a sound card, or even add disk drives to read DVDs. Or you could even cool your PC with water. There's so much you could do with PC components to make them fit your needs. But those are the essentials you need the PC to function properly. So now that you have that, it's time to set it up. This is a digital element of the PC, which is known as a software. Computer Hope defines software in an article March 6 early this year as a collection of instructions that enable the user to interact with a computer, its hardware, or perform tasks. The most well-known forms of hardware are operating systems. Operating systems are a PC's main software, which manages the PC's hardware, the applications on the PC, and other software. The operating system is an interface that is vital to your PC build, as without one, you'll just be stuck with commands and codes and no interface. An example of an operating system is the widely recognized Android and iOS, which can be seen on most smartphones today. The most common operating system on PCs are Windows, Mac, and Linux. Generally, Mac OS is not installed on PC builds due to its ties with Apple hardware, which leaves Windows and Linux. So Windows is probably the best bet for most PC builders, as it's incredibly simple to use, and it's probably used by most people who've ever used a PC. Linux is more barebone and complex, but it's free, unlike Windows with its $100 price tag. So once your operating system has been installed, the next software needed is drivers. So drivers are for your hardware. Drivers don't really have an exact definition, but Microsoft's website, which I accessed on April 13th, describes them as software components that let an operating system and a device communicate with each other. This essentially means that your PC's hardware, for your PC's hardware to be recognized by an operating system and any other applications, drivers must be installed for the components which require them. Once you've completed the setup, the rest is up to you. Download any applications or programs you want, download any media, and have fun on your new PC. So I've informed you on what to do. So I've informed you on what to look for when selecting parts for your PC, how to build the PC, and how to install the necessary software to get your PC running. So now you know a little bit more about the technology which we all use in each and every day.